Hey y'all, it's another day. Oh God, spider webs everywhere. Ah! There are spider webs everywhere. Everywhere. Anyway, I just wanted to say hello. It's another day. Figured I'd bring you along as I do some of my other kind of garden farm chores, because it's not always just out in the garden. There's what do you do once you get a bunch of stuff? You got to harvest it. Right now I'm working on all of our harvested garlic from this past spring. I think we harvested 155 bulbs, which was way more than what we did last year. I think last year we did maybe 17 maybe, 22 maybe. And that was a really awesome experience. We ended up, obviously we didn't grow that much, but we did end up saving a lot of the bulbs from that harvest. So hence we didn't really eat much of our garlic last year. But we did end up saving that to start this year's garlic supply, to seed this year. And so that's been a really fun experience to kind of see your potential harvest exponentially grow. Fun fact about me is that I have been a garlic lover. I wouldn't say into childhood by any means, but definitely for a very long time in my life. And it was like one of those things where at one point I wanted it to be my first tattoo. You know, you think long and hard, what do I want my first tattoo to be? Did it end up being my first tattoo? No, but it was one that I thought about for a long time. There was even a point in my life where I wanted to go to Gilroy Garlic Festival in California, which, if you're not familiar, is like the mecca for garlic growing. And so I really wanted to kind of go to that festival and have garlic ice cream and all the things that I had seen on the cooking shows from back in the day. And I always wanted to grow my own garlic. But back when I was that age, like in my 20s, and you know, the life that I had at that time, the land, trying to grow garlic myself, which I did try, but not really knowing enough about what it took, which really it doesn't take that much. So I don't know what I did wrong, but it never worked out. And so, you know, time goes on, and now here I am, 20 years after that, now 44 years old, just had my birthday. I'm growing garlic, and I'm growing more and more each year because it is one of my favorite crops to grow. It's just one of those that you stick it in the ground, you let it do its thing all winter long. Come spring, when it's ready, you get your scapes, and then you dig it out of the ground. I love growing garlic, actually. Now, it does take up some space. You could put it in other spaces. So right now, I am taking pretty much, we have let these dry for weeks now. I mean, it's well past, I think they say to give it like 3 to 4 weeks. This has been like 5 or 6. But I'm just doing a cleaning. So essentially what I'm doing is I am cutting off the bottom part, which is comprised of mostly the roots. And then I'm just kind of seeing if I can peel back some of the top layer of that paper that has some of the dirt. Now, I'm not too concerned about, bacteria on this paper with the dirt, but if I can get it to look like this, I mean, look at that beauty. Look at that. I grew that. That's pretty awesome. But that's what I'm going for. So this past year, what did we grow? Well, we grew some hardneck. Hardneck is my favorite because you, in my opinion, you get 2 harvests out of it. You get the garlic scapes, and then you get the garlic. And garlic scapes are like buttery yum yum to me. Put them in a frying pan with some butter and a little bit of salt, and my goodness, like, talk about a amazing flavor. But aside from that, I did do some soft necks for the first time ever, only because we had, what do you call it? I got some discount from Lowe's, like towards the end of fall. And I was like, let me give this a shot since we've never grown them before. If they can grow in this area, why not? And I'm just not a fan of them. Like, this is a soft neck. There's no garlic scapes. So that's one aspect of it that I'm not the biggest fan of. Now with the soft neck, you can string them up. Like, I could probably braid this a little bit better than a hard neck, but I don't know. I'm a hard neck girly, I think. Now, what varieties do we have? At this point, I'm not sure. Now, soft necks, I have no idea. Those, like I said, they just throw them in a bag at Lowe's and are like, here's some bulbs, you know? Another reason why I'm not really that interested in growing them again. When it comes to our hard necks, which I don't even think this is a hard neck, but when it comes to our hard necks, I know Music is one of them. I can't remember what the other one is. I know for sure I definitely want to start to incorporate some new varieties in. So obviously we're going to probably save some of these and use them to seed next year, because that worked out really, really well. And if I can keep expanding my crop using my previous year's yield, that's pretty awesome. Love it. But I would like to get, like, I don't know, just some different varieties to add into the mix so that I have like 4 different hardneck varieties. I think I would be probably really happy. But I will say garlic is probably one of my favorite things to grow. I also like herbs and stuff, obviously. But of all of my veg, it's one of my favorites, for sure. Like, I would do more of this if I could, if I'm just being honest. I don't know if I should go any further with that skin. I'm just going to leave it. Yeah, so this is one of my hard necks, I can tell. You can kind of see how the stem looks right here. Let me show you. See how it's like a bit more straight. If I come across a soft neck, I'll show you that one. But really, we're just cutting off the root base or cleaning it up a little bit. Cleaning up the paper a little bit. Feeling to see if there's any squishy, because we don't necessarily want any that are rot. This one, which was huge, does have some softness and some squishiness to it. So I'm putting it to the side because I do want to open it up and see what's going on with it. We might be able to save some of the cloves, and they could be the seeds for next year, depending. You know, depending on which ones are rotten and things like that. I'm also trying to save some of this stuff so that we can use it in the compost. Another, ooh, okay. That one is no good. What else is weird is that it's only one head. Like, it didn't turn into a full garlic, is what I'm trying to say. It's just like one giant clove. We had a couple of them do that this year. I don't know if that's like a common thing, because again, this is only my second. Wow, this is only my second year growing garlic. That's pretty awesome in some regards. But yeah, essentially we're just trying to take off that outer rim of paper. Again, just to clean them up a little bit. It's not required, but they sure do look a whole lot better, in my opinion. I'm also going to try and cut this down a little bit further just so we're getting less of that dirt. Look at that baby. It's awesome. Okay, let's see, what do we got? What do we got? What's this? No idea what this is. It's like a little mini garlic. We've got a whole nother rack over there. Like I said, we did like 100, I think we counted 155. And that wasn't even counting like the messed up ones, you know? No, this is like a mini garlic. So it's going to take some time to clean this. We also have some onions down in here, and some compost, I guess like compost shallots. Basically, I took some things that sprouted in the compost and I just moved them into a bed. Let's see if they're still good. Yep, rotted. I don't know what it is with us and freaking onions. They never, I don't know. I do want to figure onions out because we do eat a lot of onions in our food. I love onions as much as I love garlic. So I gotta figure out why. I think part of it with the onions is I'm planting it too deep maybe. So maybe gotta try a little bit less depth. But other than that, I don't really know what else I could be doing. Lots of dirt in this one. Okay. Get it over on this side. Boop, 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 boop. I'm sure, like, we'll lose some, you know, it's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. It's just part of the growing experience, is that you will lose some. But hopefully you don't lose a lot. Curing is a big part of it. So basically, for garlic, hardneck in particular, you want to plant it in the fall and let it chill all winter long. You don't have to do anything you don't really have to do anything crazy for it. You don't have to like water it so much. You don't have to like baby it. Just plant it, let it sprout, let it do its thing. Then in spring, then you'll want to start kind of putting some fertilizer down. Usually we'll just pull straight from our vermicompost bed. Yeah, all of our onions are done. Then we'll pull from our compost bed. Like, I don't get it. This was like perfect and it's done. It's really frustrating. It's like super frustrating. Okay, shallot, done. This shallot, not done. Well, I don't understand I don't get it. I don't get what we're doing wrong. Now all of these feel like they're at the top. So shallots have been, these were all, oh man, I give up on, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, damn it. But I don't understand why every single one gets funky like that. Doesn't make any sense. This was an interesting garlic. I don't know what the heck happened to it. We're gonna see if we can keep it. Maybe it was just in a little too long. I don't know. I mean, this one could be possibly like a seed garlic because it's just ugly. All right, let's get all these over here. So back to what I was saying. You plant the garlic in, you plant one clove. So you have a bulb. A bulb has multiple cloves in it. Break that bulb apart to get all the individual cloves. But you keep the cloves in the paper. And then you just plant it in the ground. You let it sit all fall. Come spring, you will start to see scapes develop, which are like these little, they're basically the flower starts to develop, but what it looks like is like a stamen, like a shoot that looks different than the rest of the fronds. And then it starts to get like a little ball on the end of it. The longer that you let it sit, the bigger the ball. So it's really kind of like a small kind of bulge in that. And they usually curl as well. They're not always straight up. When they're straight up, you know you've kind of gone a little too long without taking out. But you want to take those out, not only because they're absolutely delicious to eat, but you want to take them out because it's essentially throwing all of its energy into producing that flour and the seeds and all of that. So you'll want to cut that out. After you cut that out, typically it's about, I'd say, maybe anywhere between 2 to like 5 weeks after that these are ready to come out of the ground. You'll know that they're ready to come out of the ground because you'll start to see some of the leaves, like these leaves, start to die back. You'll notice on ours, this is like a dark brown, whereas these are green. We might have pulled ours a little earlier than I would have wanted to, but essentially what you're looking for is these bottom leaves that are closest to the bulb. You want them to be like brown. And that starts to signal to you that your garlic's getting ready. They usually say it's about the 50% rule. I'm saying this only had those two bottom ones, and this is what it's looking like. I could have maybe gotten a little bit more growth, but probably not that much. So that's usually the telltale, is to look at the bottom kind of leaf sets that are closest to the ground. If they're starting to brown up, you know that it's good to pull. And then really you just pull them out of the ground. Now, what do you do after that? Well, for us, we bring them down into the garage and we let them dry on racks. I did a I did an Instagram reel on how to like make a drying rack. And so essentially, you can go watch that, or really it's just you're stringing chicken wire between a simple wooden frame. Now for us, we did it 2 different ways because, well, some of our garlic were really, really big. So with this rack that you see me working off of here, we just laid the garlic, single layer, not touching one another, on the rack, and then have the fan that you hear blowing behind me, blowing constantly since we put that stuff down here. The rack that's to my left over there, which you can't see, which has the bulk of our garlic on it, That has them strung in between the actual chicken wire holes, like where they're strung like this, essentially. And I'll show that to you. But then you just kind of leave it in a place that's cool and dark and dry and have a fan on them and then let them sit to cure up for like, I don't know, at least like a couple weeks. And then you're good to go. Now with us, we ended up not cleaning ours per se before we strung them. Some people like to clean them before they even get to this drying point, and maybe that's something we'll do next year. But we didn't do that this year. So that's why I am doing it now. So yeah. I'm just going to continue to do this. Okay, this one feels funny. Yep. So anything that is mushy, just toss it. Put it in your compost pile. It's not even worth it. And hopefully you didn't just grow like one clove and then your mushy one or one bulb and your mushy one ends up being the problem. Sometimes that's why abundance of Mother Nature is so grand, because if you grow a bunch and something doesn't work out, you're not totally heartbroken by it. But yeah, garlic growing has been by far one of my favorites. I want to do more, if I'm just being honest with you. I'd love to be the garlic woman. I still want that garlic tattoo. Yeah, see, this one might be okay. I'll have to see. We'll see when we cut it. Yeah, mush. Mush right here. But yeah, I mean, so we're going to rotate. We're going to rotate our beds next year. That's kind of going to be a big thing for us, actually. From a gardening and learning perspective, we're moving into year 3 with this particular configuration set up and beds and all of that. Year 5 overall for our growing on this property. So we've learned a lot in those 5 years, but then, you know, like a big thing for me this year has been seed saving, and succession planting, where like once our garlic was done, I was planting chard and different things like that. Saving every seed I can, learning about bugs. That's been a huge one for me, both predatorial, what do the eggs look like, what do the nymphs look like, what's a beneficial bug, what eats what, like all of that kind of stuff. Last year, a big thing for us was vermicompost and irrigation and figuring out like what veg we actually really like. This year it was making sure we already knew what kind of infrastructure and cattle panel we wanted to get in for a little bit more vertical gardening. So all this to say that each year you're adding a little bit more to that knowledge set, and you're trying more experiments to really push the limits on like what's possible. And I think for us next year, you know, we just got chip drop for the first time and we tried sheet mulching again, but this time with everything that was completely free. We dumpster dive for the cardboard. We put the sheet mulch down, the chip drop, which is free. So we're really trying to see what's possible from a free standpoint when it comes to infrastructure, and then kind of go from there. But if all of that works out, right now we're solarizing a giant area. We have even bigger plans in our head of even bigger area to solarize, but that's going to take some dedication, that's for sure. But for now, the semi-smaller area, which is still quite large, we're thinking about doing a berry patch there, like blackberries and raspberries and things like that. And my thought is like, what if we did propagations? And so the plants were free and the chips were free and the cardboard was free and the chives were all from seed that we grew already on our property. And this whole new garden expansion was done for virtually no money at all. How powerful is that? Think about that. Think about that for a second. How powerful is that? That, you can start to really cultivate your land in such a way that it's not costing you a dime and it's just giving to you in return. And that's really what we're trying to get back to, what we're trying to learn of how can we be as sustainable as possible with what we have and the resources that we have available to us. And that's kind of where we're at. We also chose the berries and whatnot because if we were to sell, we can freeze them. We might be able to sell those berries to them a little bit easier than some of the other stuff. I've also this year explored a whole lot more when it comes to dehydrating, trying to make spices, trying to make teas, things like dehydrated spinach, to prolong it, but then also that's great for smoothies. Just a lot of that type of stuff. I'll just bring you over and show you what I was talking about for our other rack. So here is the second rack that we use, and here's kind of how we string it up. So you've got all of your garlic up there, and then it hangs through the holes like that. And so, yeah. This is all the other garlic that we have to clean, which is quite a bit. I think most of these are soft neck, and I'm really hoping that they are not all like rotten, but all right, so I got another supply. Still got well over half. This might be a multi-day project if I'm just being honest. Now, some of these are just wicked looking. Like, this one just looks ugly as hell. But it is what it is. And you'll see some of them I ended up cutting just because it actually made it easier to string up on that particular contraption. So... We got our first rain today. That's pretty awesome. It has been a very dry, hot summer today, or this year. Very dry and hot, and it's been hard to keep up with, I'm not gonna lie. Now our garden does look great. I don't have any complaints there, but I mean, it's been hard to be out there. I'm not too concerned about, it's not like I shy away per se. It's more of a safety thing, I think, at this point. Like, there have been a couple times where I'll take like 3 showers in a day simply because I'm going out in waves, so to speak, to kind of tend to the garden. And then other times I am, can't drink enough water, basically. You're getting some good looking heads out of this. That is for sure. But I definitely think that this might be a multi-day process. And I think Nick was onto something. I think maybe if we would have cleaned this right after we pulled them out of the ground, but I also remember it being kind of a little bit wet, sort of. And so I don't know how it would have reacted. Coming out of the ground. All right. Wow. Okay. Like, these garlic are looking good. Some of them. This one is ugly as hell. Can you see that? Some are ugly. Now, what would be, you may be wondering, like, what's the ratio of garlic going bad versus how much we planted versus it going well? Well, I haven't grown it enough to give you a true blue know-it-all answer, if I'm just being honest. When I went to pull out of the ground, there were some that were ugly or just like incomplete or whatever, or felt kind of like they weren't really rotty. Like, I haven't really had any until just now that were like rotty. It was more like they were just either malformed, didn't really form, and so I just kind of like threw them back in the compost. From what we've been doing here, I haven't finished the bundle yet, but we haven't gotten that many. It was mostly the onions, which again, I cannot figure out how to freaking do onions. I got to figure that out because we eat a lot of onions. But aside from that and the shallots, there's only been like maybe 2. That have not really come out very well. Last year I didn't waste any. I think everything was perfect. But again, we were growing like 17 or 22 heads or something like that, which is like kind of next to nothing. So here is the final harvest. Look at all these bulbs. And this isn't even all of them. I still got some down here I haven't even touched yet, mainly because they're a little bit more on the uglier side and they're soft necks. Like, look at this one. I think I left it a little too long in the ground. But these, I'm like, you know what? I'll deal with them in a little bit. And then these over here are ones I'm saving for seed because there is some sort of like mushy or rotty aspect to some of those. But these are all of our good ones. And so these are ones, I mean, look how store-bought these look. They're not even store-bought. They are homegrown for sure, but like, look at that. These are, you can kind of tell also. So there's 2 different varieties here. This is one variety, it's got like the pink in it. And then you have another variety that has like no pink. And then over here, you can almost tell that like these are the soft neck. Got more of the soft neck ones over here, I believe. The other thing is you can kind of tell the difference between a soft neck. See that versus that? It's kind of the difference between the 2. I personally tend to love this side more than this, but I wanted to try a soft neck for the first time ever growing it, just so that I'm familiar with what that experience is like. So it's another day, just so you know. That's why I'm wearing different clothes. This did end up taking a lot of energy out of me, if you know what I'm saying. But I did want to close this video out so I didn't leave you guys just hanging. Hopefully, with our little sit down, our little chat to chat, while I clean garlic, hopefully you got some little tidbits on what it's like to grow garlic. I am planning to bring you guys along into some more of the details as the year progresses, particularly this fall, showing you the full end-to-end process of planting the garlic all the way to us getting back to this point right here, which is the harvest, the preserving, the cleaning. But until then, hopefully you got a little glimpse as to what it takes and you found it helpful. Thanks for stopping back to check out this video. I love this little community that we're building together. By all means, if you have any questions or there's anything in the garden that you want to learn about how we do it versus how you do it, or anything along those lines so that we can experiment and grow together, just drop it in the comments below. I'm always happy to engage. I really want to see all of us start experimenting a little bit more without that fear of failure behind it, and encouraging each other to do those experiments, because that's the only way we're going to learn and really push the boundaries of what's possible and dance with Mother Nature, which is what this page is all about. At any rate, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye, guys.